see who can bring it to a rest. Sometimes conversations don't end. We talked about how do you say no, how to say no, and I know that you and Chinaya had said, listen, you must be able to say no, and don't feel guilt. I think it's a part of the guilt part that we kind of let our emotions get the best of us. So let me start by sharing this, and I'm going to kind of open the let me use the word open the floor with this. As human beings, and this has nothing to do with how much you have in the bank. It has nothing to do with how many resources you have, how many houses or cars you have. We are limited physically. You see, because I feel that the way nature is, the way we are satisfied, the day we are satisfied, that means we are full, we don't need more. Guess what happens? We won't go to work, we won't stop pressing in, we won't stop thriving. So a lot of things, that's why we still have to get up tomorrow and do some things. So technically, as human beings, we are limited in our physical body, in the environment, the world that we live. So the world itself, tries to weigh you down, it tries to push you down. When you wake up in the morning, you have a limited supply of resources, you have a limited supply of time, and your resources will include every and anything. So your resources will include money, it will include time, it will include patience, it will include your advice, it will include your encouragement, it will include your everything that you are able to give is in limited demand. So when you wake up every morning, you are supposed to have an amount of resources to be able to take you through the day and those that you have been sent to be a part of that day. You see, because we're always serving. Someone said that service is what we pay to stay on earth. You're always serving someone in one thing or the other. So it happens that the resources that you have is limited. Let me give you an example. So say I woke up this morning and all I had in my pocket was $100. What I need the money for today is just $30. So I have an extra $70. But that $70 I was supposed to give, listen carefully, I was supposed to give out of the 70, I was supposed to give $20 to Temitope, $30 to Giselle, and $20 to Linda. That was how, so I was meant to use $30 for what I was going to do for that day, and then give 20, 30, 20. You're with me? Now, once you give that, it means that you don't have any more, because whatever you give, whatever you spend or give out, you can't take back anymore. Now, this is where the irony happens. But when I woke up that morning, Jenkins knocked on my door, told me that his roof was blown off, so he needs money. Out of my emotion, I carried $20 and gave to Jenkins. Just after Jenkins, Sarah came in and said she too has issues. And so, you see, I'm responding emotionally to them. And I gave her $15. And that person comes up again, I give them $20. What now happens is that when Giselle, Temitope, and Linda, who I was supposed to serve that day, come, I don't have anything to give them anymore. So either I'm going to take it and share it, I'll give them $5 and that's it. And they're like, but what I needed was 20. What I needed was 20. What I needed was 30. And I'm like, well, that's what I have. I don't have all that. That's what I have. Help me manage it. And then we wonder why we don't get, number one, we don't get, I call it a return on our investment. Because most times I think we let emotion drive us and we're not used to saying no. That's how I have learned to say no. Because if I give what I should have given to Temitope, I give it to Jenkins because Jenkins came, Jenkins is my brother, or Jenkins is my even my spouse. Jenkins is my spouse, is my brother, is my sister. I miss it because when the person who is supposed to get that comes, I don't have to give them. This is one of the things that have strengthened me when it comes to saying no to people. It's become easier because I know that if I take what I should have given, and you see the way we are structured, if you take what you should give to, so technically, and now I know that you are going to, I know Bible scholars will not tell me, are you saying about all seed is seed? You've got to sow in good ground. You've got to sow where you're supposed to sow. We talked last week about grace. If you go to where you're not graced to, you will not, no matter what you do. So being able to say no is for your good, so that you can give the best of you, one, and do the best work that you can. Secondly, you are not sent to everybody. You are not called to everybody. If you think you are sent to everybody, you have missed it like day and night. You are sent to a specific person, a specific group of person. And most of the time, it is your duty, it's your responsibility to find out who they are. That's why being able to say no, it's going to be easy, because you know that if I don't say no to good, if I don't say no to good, I can't get the best. For me to get the best of my day, the best of what I've been placed at the place to do, and at any point in time, I must say no to certain things. I've been in places where they wanted to start up, some form of rancor, and I said no. You have to. If you don't say no, if all you have said is yes, 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 trust me, you would be spent. And I'm going to kind of ease back here, and let me hear your views, because I know I just spoke some controversy. and so let me hear your views in terms of having limited resources, being able to say no. So let me hear your views. And I'm going to open up the chat so I can keep my eye on that as well. So do you say no at all, or you are a yes person?
Good evening, everyone.
Evening, how are you?
Okay. Most of the time, I do yes, I do no.
Okay.
But I won't call myself a no person. At times you have to set your boundaries, because if you don't do that, people would take advantage of that, and sometimes it affects your mental health. I know that some other things happen that you look at it that can I say yes to this person, or say yes to someone, and another person comes up and you want to say no, and it's like, okay, but you say yes to this other person, why say no to me? If you're not careful, there will be conflict. So most of the time, you have to look at yourself, your personal limits. If you don't have limits for things, that's what I'm saying. You have to put a limit to, put a limit to whatever you want to do. If you don't do that, it really affects you deeply. I sometimes do yes, I say no, but I can tell myself, when I put a limit to something, I put a no to it. And then nobody changes that. But I'm not going here, I'm not going there. So because I wouldn't want something I would do, and why did I do this? Begin to blame myself, and not feeling okay with it. So I sometimes, but I'm learning to do that no, especially when it has to do with, whether it has to do with money, it has to do with my health, my mental health. Once something is going to affect that, I say no to it. I do.
Thank you very much. Okay. Who else says no very easily, or doesn't say no at all? Or says no and yes? And what are the things you consider to say no to or yes to? Linda, I see you want to say something. Go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, you know, we can say it's easy to say no or easy to say yes. To be honest, we all learn from our mistake. You understand?
Okay.
I think everybody loves to say yes to everybody. And for you to start learning how to say no, it's because you've been pushed to a certain point that you can't take it anymore. So you start learning how to say no. So, but the thing is that as you grow older, you start learning how to set boundaries. You start learning how to say no, and you mean no. Especially again, I always like to start from home. When the kids come to me and ask me for something when they were small, and I said no, and then they cry, and then sometimes like I said, Mom, I want to give it to them. But because I've said no, I maintain no to the end, so that they know I'm not a pushover. So when I say no, they know my no means no. And when I say yes, my yes means yes. So coming to family also, when they ask me for something, I don't have. And even if I promise that if I have, I will give. When I have, I give. If I didn't promise you that, even if I have, I will not give. Because I did not promise you that. So, but I didn't learn it. I didn't just come up and just start being like that. I had to learn it out of frustration, out of stress, out of disappointment, out of when people will say no to you when you expect them to say yes. So, and I've learned to set boundaries. So I have to give you what I have, and what will not give me stress, what will not give me will not make me start going and start regretting had I know. So I've come to learn that, and I'm telling you, for the past couple of years now, I am living happily. When I say no, I mean no. I don't get angry anymore. It doesn't frustrate me. But it did frustrate me for the early stage of my life, and I had to learn the hard way. So that's what I'm about to say now.
Linda, thank you. Well, something you said that I kind of want to piggyback off you. You learned it. Someone who is learning to say no, let me ask you, Linda, and I'm going to put you on the spot. How long do we have to keep saying yes before we start get our groove back to say no? What are the things that would give me confidence enough to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to have to decline this. I'm going to say no to this, or I'm going to say yes to this, because I hear, and it's always starts with our children, really, because we kind of give them, like, I remember when Isabel was born, they said to me, she's going to wrap you around her pinky finger. In fact, she can't wrap you around her hand, because if she needs to do something, I've already looked at it and it's good for her. So there's no negotiation for that. And I do that very often. And she knows that when she's home with me, she knows that there's playtime, there's nap time, there are times that are set in motion. Now, those things, interestingly, for some of us, we didn't have that kind of upbringing. Most of us had our ways, especially some first children. We would have our way. You would not learn to wash, you would not learn to cook or do anything in the house because you're the first child. I am glad I turned out well, but I know that a lot of children get that kind of pampering that they don't, I mean, they could cry and cry and cry. If my daughter cries now, I said, can I get you a bucket? And she's like, no, daddy, no, daddy. I said, so that we can fill it with water, then we can use it and, sprinkle or something. So she kind of laughs over it, but she gets herself back together. Learning to say no seems to be an art, because I hear you didn't start out saying no, but at least where you started to exercise that habit of saying no and then sticking to your no. So you said no in the morning, and the next morning you still said no to it. You said no last week to something, you still say no to that same thing. Except you have put a condition and say, okay, I would reconsider this if this changes. Like, for instance, them fixing their rooms. You can say, okay, no, you won't get that chocolate. No, you won't have that screen time until I see that you have fixed your room. Then I can reconsider my words. Because if you don't learn to keep your words, especially to your children or to people, apart from your words, there's nothing else. Your words is what defines you. So if people can't take you by your word, because you can tell them, like I'll hear someone tell, he knows he's not going to come and he's telling you, I'll see you later, I'll see you there. They know they are not going to be there. Like we had one staff one time, She's a they call them she's a social worker, a PSW. She picked up a shift in with our clients, and that day she already organized her beach birthday party. So her friend who introduced her to us also had a shift that day. The friend came, even though the friend had seen the invitation. She said, I can't make it because I have work to do. She was now surprised that I'm shocked that this lady didn't show up. Said, why? She said, because she's in the beach. She's at the beach. She's having a party. So why would you say you will do something and you know you will not do it? If people can take you by your word, if people can trust you by your word, you will soon start to lose credibility, and it starts from home. So stick with your word. Now, if you say no, and then you have not reconsidered, and you can go back and say, oh, well, I said no to that thing, but I've looked at it again and I think you guys would need it. So but let them know that once you say no to something or yes to something, you will do it. Let that be your own password, so that you know that you would. Now, I know last week, I know Giselle had mentioned the fact that it's a bit difficult to say no to certain persons, especially your siblings. It's really, really difficult. It will take you a lot of grace, because so many things you will think, if I say no to them, they will label me as bad. They will say I don't want to give, and they will say all of this and say all that. So because of that, I don't want to look bad. Remember what I said initially? You have limited resources. If I was to give something to Giselle, and then my sister cries and cries and cries, and I give it to her, I would not have it to give to Giselle anymore. And guess what? That's where my return was locked into. Because everything that we do is precise. We just do it, etc. Everything that we do is, they use the word ordained. You just don't go anywhere anyhow. You just don't meet people anyhow. Everything is ordained. So if you don't understand what that is for, the tendency for you to abuse it, and you are everywhere, you are here today, you are there tomorrow, next day after tomorrow you are on that place, next week you are here. If you keep doing that with the limited time that you have, you will not have time to do other things. So because you want to maximize your own time, I remember when we had Nuggets Day Niger, and one of the speakers said to me that he cannot go to the gas station and go and queue for 3 hours to buy fuel. And I know why, but I just asked him, I said, why would you do that? He said, because I've not lost the consciousness of the value of my time. 3 hours to buy gas or fuel. And I thought about it. Sometimes I think we engage in, we as human beings, I think sometimes we think that motion, because I'm moving, I'm doing something, equates to progress. I learned that the hard way. I learned that someone rightly said that if you don't know where the goalpost is, for those who play soccer, running faster doesn't solve a problem. If the goalpost is here, and I face it and I'm running very fast, I increase, but I'm running more than Usain Bolt run, it makes no difference. You have to know where the goalpost is and run towards it for you to determine if your action is being progressive. So one, you have limited resources of your time, of your money. Even if you have billions of dollars in your account, if you have limited amount of time, little amount of patience. That's why sometimes some of you would come, like I remember that time when I expand my time for nothing that is meaningful. My daughter could say something and I will snap at her. Because my patience, I've used everything. I used it when I want to use it, so I've exhausted my patience. You might think that, no, you have abundance of, it's the Holy Ghost that has abundance. It is God that has abundance. And because God is in you, you can afford to infuse a bit of abundance. But trust me, look at scripture. It says that you want to give. You want to, on Thursday, set out as you have purpose in your heart to give. You wouldn't say that if we had abundance, even though you're believing God for abundance, you have limited resources, and what you do with it determines if you would increase or decrease. What do you think?
When it comes to siblings.
For me,
okay, sorry.
I'll say.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, I think what I've been about is when you've already cultivated a wrong habit. That is how I'll call it. Because here in Canada, sometimes my white people, they call it people pleasers. That is how they call it, because you want to satisfy everybody. You think you have taken God's places. Sometimes it happened to me that I pray for my family by saying in the morning that God, don't let them make you their God. Let them find you as I have found you. Let them know how to direct their request to you, not to me. I do that prayer a lot of time, but I have come to understand that I did the foundation that I have built. It was built in the wrong way because I had it so much. My kids were young, and I can really supply to my family needs. But I came to understand African people the way God has created us. When somebody in the family has it, is the breadwinner, it's like everybody, they close their hands. They don't want to look, they don't want to find, they don't want to reach the level that their siblings are. Because sometimes you can talk to your family member and say, we are raised in the same condition, in the same house, with the same possibilities, but why you guys never sit down and ask question? Why is she single out among all of us? What is the secret? Why the secret even is visible? Why you can do that? You see, like today, I was talking with my uncle. So we lost one of our uncle back home, and he called me and he said, you know why I haven't reached out to you, because they stole my phone. I really need money to pay to buy a new phone. You see, he said, I have already some money, but I want you to help so I can buy the phone. Me, already, I feel bad for him because I'm very sensitive. But I cannot give it to him now. And I just tell him, I say, Uncle, as soon as I get something, I'm going to send it to you. He said, even a small one, just send. I want to buy the phone. So for me, I don't know, is it an handicap or what is it? I don't know how to mention it, how to call it, because I have to know how sometimes to, because I always put my need beyond. To be honest with you, beloved, I have need, to be honest with you. I am planning to change one of my living room. I can do it within maybe 1 week or 2 weeks. But because the money is always to exhaust other people's needs, I put my personal need behind and I forgot about myself. You see, I have many things I want to do for me, but I always want people to be okay, people to be this. The only person who can help me right now, I think now, after this group, is God, because I don't know anymore. Sometimes I say the art God has given me is wrong, that I cannot stand to see people suffer or people in need. I have to be there to respond to their needs. Sometimes I'll be honest with you, I used to go even beyond. It's not only for my family member, even for church, when I used to be in church. I'll take the money that I can even save for maybe something for my kids, but I'll provide for the need of the church. I just want the church to have. I was just going beyond and above at a point where I came to understand that that is not wisdom anymore. Because as this passage you just said, God has ministered to me that you have to give as you propose. And one of the things is we have learned, one of the men of God told us that if you are not inspired by the Spirit to give, and your flesh is giving, that's why you're not receiving back. God is not giving you back because it was your flesh that has given. It was not the Spirit that inspired you. And I've noticed here in America, most of the time when they ask for something, they always say, pray for it first. let God put it in your heart how much you can give or you can give. If you can give, pray for the king that they are needing for money for, so that somebody else who has the money can provide for it. Thank you so much. Sorry, Sister Linda. I love you. I cut you off.
I love you too. Okay.
Wow. Go ahead, Linda. Go ahead.
But can I just answer? You know, like I said, my sister Naz or anybody that knows me will know that I'm a giver. That is my nature. But when I give and I know people take advantage of that. And
True.
when they take advantage, you start feeling the pain. Every time you give, you feel the pain. It's not right. So you have to start adjusting. So when my kids were growing up, you know, when they were very small, they really don't need much. So I was given like as if I won a lotto. And then my kids start growing, and then they start asking for this, they start asking for that. I said, my kids are growing, they also need some stuff. I understand. And they will say, but I need that. I said, well, you know, my son's shoe, just one shoe will cost, when I call the money in Nigeria money, almost 200,000, they will say, what? I said, exactly. So I have to look after them. They have to look like their friends too. So I start using my children as an excuse not to give them because they don't actually need it. And they still survived. And because I go home, I see people are living large, they're very okay. And I'm looking at my own immediate siblings, I don't give them anything. You understand? And it's just cousins, uncles, and aunties have stopped all those stuff because I learned in a hard way. And then sometimes they'll call me, and my kids are grown, most of them are working now, and they call me, and I said, you know what? It's time for me to look after myself. Then even I've reduced my hours, so my children will look after me too. I have no reason to give them. I have learned to say no, and I mean no. And they know that. They say, yeah, that you've changed, you've really changed. I said, as we grow older, the hard work is changing. So we have to adapt to the change. So my sister, you know, when it comes to church matter, again, I tell you the truth, you know, there is so much to give in the church. And if you don't have wisdom, you will give even your heart. They will not care whether you're sleeping outside. So what happened, you know, I'm a chef. And when it comes to, you know, there's always activity in the shop that warrant us to bring meat pie, cake, and all the rest. Guess what? I have never given the church free cake or free meat pie. If you want cake or meat pie from me, you have to order. I refuse from day one, and I maintain it to today. If you feel you want free one, people can cook in the house and bring. But if you want professional work, you have to pay. And that's how it goes. Till today, I've never given church free meat pie or free cake. I've never done that. Even one of my pastor's friends, when they are doing birthday, I usually give them discount, but if they are not ready to pay, let them go and look for who will give them for free. They are pastors, but it doesn't come from my own pocket because I don't see God blessing me like that. Because I was not laid in my heart. Only one pastor was laid in my heart to buy a bag of rice and give for Christmas. And I went to give her that Christmas. They said, as I was late, I gave her the Christmas gift. He said, flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but the Lord. Because he said, I was thinking, how do I go and get rice? I have no rice. I was thinking, what do I do? I don't have a car to go. So you see, that kind of one, when you go put in your hand, when you go, it will be appreciated. She never looked for rice again from me. Are you getting me? But if I are just like, hey, let this woman like me, and I give her rice, tomorrow she'll look for another rice. The day I stop, I become her enemy. So you must learn to say no, my dear sister. It's very important. When you think twice and they say no, and they know people will love you for their no, rather than yes. The day you say no, you have enemies. That's what I want to contribute.
Linda, thank you very much. It's interesting because yesterday I was with one of my very good friends, and he's been with this ministry for over 30 years. So he said, so hear me out. His 40th birthday, his 50th birthday, he celebrated in that ministry. So one of the pastors, senior pastors, called him and said, come, brother, the head pastor is having his birthday, you know, are you not going to give towards it? The guy said, no, sir, I'm not giving. You? Why would you give? The guy said, and he said it to him very politely. It wasn't arrogant. He said, I've been in this ministry for 30 years. I have celebrated 2 milestone birthdays, and the senior pastor has not called me once. So happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday. So why should I keep celebrating him? You see, when I asked, I said, why do you do that? He said, this is what he said. His MU has reached. He said his who has reached. Let me bring that back home. See, listen. I hear the word give sacrificially. Give till it pains you. It's good, though. Very, very good. But you see, we are spirit beings, and if you're not led to do what you're doing, you would find that it will come to a time when it will lead to frustration for you. 2 weeks ago, someone asked me, said, so what do I say about sacrificial giving? I said, yes, it's good. Very good. If you're giving it from your own heart. But if I'm compelling you to give, if I keep compelling you to give, you're not giving because you want to give anymore. Now, I hear this notion that when I give, I don't expect. I don't even see that in scripture. Because God gave his only begotten son. And because of that, his begotten son, millions of people have come to him. So even God doesn't invest for nothing. What God doesn't do is that if I give to maybe Natalia, for instance, I don't go begin to knock Natalia's door. Hey, hi, I see you guys are eating rice. Oh, no problem. You know, food is everywhere. I don't do that. I give to her and I turn to the one who is the provider. And I say, Lord, I have made it happen for someone. My eyes are on you. But if you've been giving because you're not expecting anything, I don't see where you can. Now, when you give with this, some people give with strings. I've seen people give with strings attached. They give you so that when they too need and they come, you can't say no. You say no, you will enter trouble now. And when I find those kind of persons, and some of them are close to me, I don't touch them with a 10-foot pole. I would rather sleep under the bridge. I use for evangelism, right? Than go to them to ask for anything. Because if I cannot tell you no, then there's a problem. There's something like slavery apart from that. So I can tell any and everyone, if it's not in my heart, and I tell you that, I will say no. Because at the end of the day, I will not answer to you. I'm going to answer to God. And because I'm answering to God, I have to be sure that it's him that I'm responding to. So when you give, you will get back good measure, pressed down, shaking together, running over, men will give you. But if you give without expecting, how would you have more? A glass of water that I keep pouring. I pour for Tokwe, I pour for Linda, I pour for Giselle, Samuel, Tosi, Natalia, Bibi, Kiri, I pour for you. After a while, it's going to finish if I don't replenish it. So your giving is what makes you open to receive. Understanding that would guide you so that you don't respond emotionally, as someone said, to everything and everyone. If you do, you will deplete yourself, and it will get to a time you'll be frustrated because you will think that what you're doing is not good? Is it that God has not seen me? Is it that I will take it and we'll blame God because we're not seeing the result? You've got to do something according to the pattern that is designed to. It has to be. And you have to understand that when I say no to something, it doesn't mean I don't like them. It doesn't mean I hate them. It just simply means I have looked at myself where I am now, and I find out that the best response to this particular need. And I think I like what Giselle said. If you keep responding, people call you and you have responded. This one calls you and you are there for them. Well, after a while, you'll become God to them. They may not call you God. They may not say you are God, but after a while, because if someone has a need and you're the first person that they call, you must be God then. And I found out something, and that's the part that really gets my attention. The day you become God to people, the one that is God will now have to remove grace from you, because since you are like him, and you have sustenance, you can sustain. So we need to be careful how we respond to people. So yes, be giving, give, but you need to understand that your giving has to be an internal thing. It has to come from within. Once it comes from within, it doesn't matter whether the person says yes or says no. You're done. You've done your part. I don't know if it's occurred to you, I've done some things, giving some people stuff. I would not, they didn't say no. I would not, I wasn't even expecting a thank you from them. I just did it. That's when giving is from inside. As long as you're not making it about, so, and I know that sometimes people give, the guy is in power, so you better give to them, or because when they shake down, they can remember you. All those things are what is corrupting what you're giving. So you have to make sure that your giving is free of all of those and you are able to do it correctly. Let it come from inside you, because we live by our giving. But let it come, let it be internally inspired. You need that, because if you don't, you will come back and as someone like this, I think of Tibuka that said that if you don't, then you will compromise your own mental well-being. And once your mental well-being is compromised, anything goes. Anything, you're open to any attack, anything goes. Small cough, cold will hit you down. You need to make sure that you're mentally sound at all times. Keep your mental alertness, keep it as high. Price it above everything else. Make sense? let me hear your thoughts. Chideye, I see you're in the house. I know you are a champion for saying no. Please, we're trying to learn how to say no and not feel guilty.
Coach. Yeah, everybody's learning it. So we're all learning.
I kind of like the way that Linda leaned into it. She said, listen, you need to understand that saying no doesn't mean that you don't like the person, you don't want to do the help. It just simply means that you have looked at yourself where you are now, I can accommodate this. Because I think that not knowing how to say no is what has brought pressure on a lot of us. We bite more than we can chew. So guess what? You either spit it out or you swallow it like that, and that has its own side effect. You say no a lot, Chideye. I know that I spoke with you, and I know you're pretty. I guess your profession has made you pretty disciplined. What has helped you in terms of no? And Linda, I know when I see you, I'll come to you now.
Okay, so what has helped me is also working with my spirit. I'm very in tune with my spirit, and I would say I'm in tune with the Holy Spirit. So if my spirit does not accept of it, I will tell you no. It doesn't matter whether you're angry or this. And I liked what you said the last time when we had this conversation. You just don't say no. You say, oh, I'm not able to because of this, maybe some other time and everything. You let the person go. There's something they call saving face. You have to allow people to save face. Everybody should say, give someone something to go with. Don't just say no.
Okay.
Just, tell the person this is that. So, but one of the things I work with is my spirit. And I will give you an example. A classmate came and said on the class group that please, he's seeking asylum for his wife in one of the countries, that she's being victimized by the Nigerian state and all that. It had to do, I don't give a lot of details, but she had entered issue with the Nigeria government, and she had to flee to another country, and she's not getting seeking asylum. So he now said, oh, we should come and write a letter. Then he now wrote a prototype of the letter that we're going to adopt.
Right.
So I know this woman, she's beautiful, she's wonderful, she's this, she's that, she's this. After saying that, now wrote that the incident that happened is this. I know that the Nigerian government is this, is that she's done justice. After saying all this, I said, oh, well, he didn't come to me personally, I kept quiet. Only for him to come to my inbox and send me and say, Chinenye, please, I want you to do this for me and all that. I now said, okay, he didn't post the template in the group. He just told us to do it for him. So when he came to inbox and said I should do it, I said, okay, no problem. Let me see everything. He now sent me the template. When I looked at this template, my spirit, I said, how can I go and be saying I know somebody I do not know? Meanwhile, this guy is a good person. When my father died, he gave me money, all those kind of things. But it's not enough. I thought about it. My spirit refused. You just select like one letter now. That was nothing to me. My spirit refused. And by evening, I just sent him a message. You should, before I sent him that message, you have some very funny friends. I now spoke to some of my very close friends. I see what is happening. They say, anyway, that he came to you. He didn't even come to us. He knows why he came to you. But that's, if you want to say no, say no. I say yes, I want to say no. They not even helped me craft the message. After crafting the message, one of them said, wait, let us use ChatGPT to even make the message sweeter. So if you see what that AI did there, if I am eager, I would have loved to help, but I'm so sorry. I'm eager to help in another way. It was such a lovely message. Once I sent it, I got my peace. So for me, I just always go once my spirit tells me no, I wouldn't do it. I offered him free notary services. Anybody that does it and wants it, because it has to be notarized, they can come to my office. I'll notarize it for free. But for me to write, I'm sorry, I do not really have the grasp of this and the grasp of that and all that. It might have been sad, but I got my peace. So for me, that was what's for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Linda, go ahead. I know you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, just again to help my sister that was talking about how to say no. I remember when I bought my car and I came back and one of my uncle asked me for money. And I said, oh, I just bought a car and it's worth so and so million in Nigerian money. He said, what? I said, the thing is this. He said, so how did you get such money? I said, no. You see, I'm in debt for the next 5 years. I'm paying mortgage. So when I'm done paying my mortgage, at least I will raise the car becomes mine. But right now, I can't do anything. So this my uncle now knows that the next 5 years, he can't ask me for anything. You understand?
Nice
the next 5 years, he can't ask me for anything because I'm paying mortgage. You understand? So you must, my dear sister, you must learn to tell them something you're doing. Because you've shown them that you're not doing anything. Money just coming from sitting, dropping down to you. You don't need money, so you want to give it. Start telling them you want to do your city room. Tell them that you're owing loan. You need to pay this loan. That you need to pay. Sorry, call it just come in. You need to pay this loan. You understand? Tell them, give them something that keep you busy, so that they will know that there's no way again. You will automatically find they will even be sorry for you. After a while, they will stop asking. People that have been asking you will survive without you. So for the next 5 years now, my uncle is not asking for anything because I have to pay. When I told him the million, even add the extra 5 million on top of the money, so you can imagine how much I'm paying. When I told them how much I'm paying a month, he's even sorry for me. So they look for something to tell them, so to keep them away. Because that extra 5 million I added was my bills and other things. I added them together so that at least that's my mortgage for the month. So that's it.
They are really good people. I don't know if you have ever met these people when you are telling them your own problem. They do like they don't even hear anything that you are saying about yourself.
Yes.
The only thing that matters to them is their need. That's the type of wicked of the wicked.
They know you're a pushover. That's why they keep doing it. So start behaving like them. Start blocking your own ear against them. They will start hearing you. If you want somebody to change, you have to change.
I would
yes. Start giving them, before they call you, start telling them your problem. What are other people's problem that you don't think that's not your problem? Start telling them, oh my goodness, start telling them problem. They will not call you again. Experiment it.
We can adopt Coach Aniekan's style. Send me your account details. I'll send you my own.
It's good too. Oh, it's very good too, yes.
Because this is the thing. I think that once we get this part of removing the fact that feeling guilty, trying to be like God and all that, once you remove that from the equation, I think you'll be able to, you need to deal with things. I like what Chineye said. He said, if my spirit doesn't go with it, I leave it. And you need to also have a guide, because your emotion is not a good guide. By the time they give you, I don't know if you have heard, sometimes, especially they know that church would fall for this, they will come and give you some very, very soul moving story that everybody will give. And you find that they know how to do it. So they know how to craft stories that will touch the heart enough for you to move. You need to have some principle, some guide. Chineye says, if my spirit doesn't go with it, I don't go. Linda says, listen, if it's not part of it, I won't go. I said, hey, listen, if I know I have limited resources, so if I carry what I should have given to you and give to someone else, when you come, I won't have to give you. Doing that without the guilt is what you need to start doing now. I heard Jesus say, if you don't respond to them, have you noticed nobody dies really? Life goes on. They look for it from different avenues and get it. So if you decide to put the oxygen mask for your neighbor, your brother, your sister, even your spouse or your children before your own, once you break that rule, there's consequence to it. So you want to give. So no one is saying don't give people, tell everybody no, everybody in your house is wicked. That's not what was said. That's not what's been said. We're saying that you need to understand that you need to deal with people from your own base, from your own resources. So if you're used to putting people's matter above yours, all well and good. I hope it works for you. But if that's how you operate, you need to look at it and say, is this working for me? I remember one time someone said I should give them money, and I think it was mortgage money. And the person had already arranged me to give. So I just told myself, Aniekan, if I carry this mortgage, if I believe I carry this money and give to this person, when my mortgage comes, will the mortgage company, will they hear and tell me, oh, we understand, you know where you're a giver? And I said, no, they would not. So I said, okay, instead of me to carry this and give you, I will believe for another one to come, then I'll give you. But, well, no one came for me to give you. So if I'd given because I've seen people carry their mortgage and give to church. I've seen people, get up and they took their glasses and threw it away. Let your eyes be restored properly before you throw glasses away, because if you throw your glass away, you will fall into the gutter. Live from where you are. Do things from where you are now. Don't try to copy someone else or I want to do it. This person did this, I want to do it. You can't live like that. You don't know what is driving them. You don't know what they are after. You don't know what they've experienced. You don't know what they were told. I'll give you a very simple story. So a group of persons, they got to the Red Sea. I'm sure you know them, Israelites. And Moses lifts up his hand and the water separated because God had told them to go forward. Right? So the Egyptian came and said, what's this? Let's go too. They didn't get instructions to go forward. But because Israel went forward, they decided to go forward. They didn't come out from that water. So sometimes God could be instructing someone else to do something, and you don't know what the instruction is. You just see the action, and you choose to do that. Live according to your dictates. And if you don't have that discipline, cultivate it. Don't wait for years and years and years, because listen, you may have lost a lot of resources because of that negligence. Don't wait for years. If you've been doing something for a bit, it's not yielding results, look at it again. Call someone else and say, come, look at this with me. I've been, trying to get this off the ground, but it's been a bit rusty. Look at it for me? I mean, keep an eye on it. You have to do that. If you don't do that and you keep just doing it and say, this is how we do it, then you're not being realistic in terms of what you're doing. Take a look at what you're doing. You may get up tomorrow and say yes to the 3 things that will come because you are led to do it. No problem. And it might be no that you are saying, it still makes no difference. No problem. I know we're about to round off, so I'm going to kind of take 1 or 2 comments. If you keep it as brief and to the point as possible, or if you have a question as well, this is when I wanted us to look at that together before we call it an evening or an afternoon that is good. So go ahead. Nothing for him for 5 years. All right, so I see there are no questions. That's okay. Be selfish, be firm, and set boundaries. How do you set boundaries?
If I can add a few stuff,
Okay.
few things. I've been listening to people, and if we also listen, you realize the underlying factor when it comes to being able to or not being able to say no, or finding yourself being the yes man or yes woman, is actually you. It's not really a factor of how intelligent or skillful the askers are. Let me use that word. Some people will give you a very well-tailored question or request, and it looks as if it's harder to say no. But some people sometimes just come out brazenly asking you the impossible. But if you find out you are the person who can't say no, you would not be able to say no all the same. Because one of the factors that are more prominent in that equation is you, and it's your mind. I think one of the strongest effects of saying no is a guilt feeling. And the guilt feeling is what affects a lot of us when taking decisions. It makes our decisions more emotional and practical. We also take those decisions for ourselves. We buy things out of guilt. We use things out of guilt, not because we really need them sometimes, because we just feel, we deserve, or other people are using it. So I would advise also that we look beyond just learning to say no by the word no, because sometimes you say no and then you go back home feeling guilty and you are hurt, especially when it comes to some of those emotional things, church, men of God, your spouse, in-laws. These are areas where you sometimes feel guilty later, or somebody makes you feel guilty. Oh, you didn't do that for my brother, you did that for my sister. But I think to make it easier on us would be for us to actually learn, just like we learn goal setting, just like we weren't born to deliberately always work hard. We had to learn it. We learned to manage ourselves and our time. I think it's one of the things we need to settle down and say, hey, how do I learn this? And this goes along with your self-care. If you look at it, every time you feel that weight of that guilt, you become stressed. You become unhappy. Your countenance changes. So look at those effects on yourself and ask yourself, is this worth it? Then also ask yourself, what's the impending result if I begin to do this all the time? I'm always giving it out. I don't have a control. I don't have a pattern. In my safety training, we do something, we say, what is the worst case scenario? When it comes to safety, the worst case scenario is fatality. And we're taught that if you describe that fatality to yourself well enough, you'll be too scared to go unsafe. Ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario? Look at a case where you become broke and the same people that you were giving to won't give to you. That's the reality we've seen all around. I've seen people who would give all for brothers or sisters. Grandmas, one of our late grandmas told me one day that I know you are smart, but as you go on in life, don't forget yourself. Don't give all to other people. And she gave an example of herself, how she gave all as a lady, as a first-born daughter, and her younger ones became ministers in this country, and they wouldn't be able to find jobs for her children, if not for God. And that was coming from an elderly woman before she passed on. That was real. That was reality for me. So ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario? Then learn. Just like you learn to eat moderately, you learn to stress moderately, you learn to work. It's the same thing. You can't do anything to an extreme. You can't give to an extreme. There will be repercussions. You can't please people to an extreme. And I mean, even to your parents, you can't please your children to an extreme. You can't please even yourself to an extreme. Imagine if you are tasting a sweet wine and you keep on drinking it, what will happen? You will get drunk. It's just like that. So we need to face that reality that it's us. We need to work that scenario out. Write it out if you have to. Create a chart and show yourself, this is where I am. If I do this, this happens, I do that, that happens. And once you see that, that reality can help to begin to mold the response. Of course, you get to a point where you still make a brick wall because you're not used to taking that decision. Talk to a coach. Talk to a friend that's sound in it than you. Talk to someone who's who is more experienced in it than you, and let them guide you to those, when you get to those questions where people ask you those things, especially family, when you, the first time you want to say no, can be rather difficult. Like Chineke said, you may have to go through a combination of people to try and work out the answer, even going online and AI if necessary. But the truth is that once you learn how to say it, what to say, how to think through, you begin to get better at it. But one thing you can never depend on is the understanding of the recipient. They might never understand. But guess what? The reality of life is that you were born alone. Even when you came with a twin brother or sister, either of you came out first. One of you probably died first. So life is only about you. The reason why we say we love each other is the extension of ourselves. If you have nothing in you, there's nothing to extend. So your sound mind, your seed, your fruit, your produce is what you are taking out of to extend. If you have nothing, then you become almost useless to your society, and you don't want to be like that. So learn that no matter how badly people take it, you can even learn to stay away sometimes. Some things you stay away from it, stay away from them, you know, and after a while, the gap will come. Anybody who is a leech around you will look for another person, another host, once you stay away. And then learn not to talk too much about yourself. Sometimes we forget, we share good news. I just bought a house. What rings in people's mind next is that this one has money. You throw a party. The next thing, I once had an experience where, you know, we would have a kind of group, you know, friends, and then someone says, you know, just announces like, I just got, you know, a raise at work. The next thing, one of us is going to call the person and ask for a support of one kind or the other, or tell, I have a party or have something, I want to buy a car, I want to clear my car. Always happen. Now, after a while, everybody knew this person will always say that. Of course, at the point, nobody breaks the news until after the thing. You just tell people, oh, there's a party tomorrow, and then it's too short to ask for that again, because you begin to learn the truth, and you should also react, you know, positively. One thing you must never do or try to avoid doing is to get angry. When you get angry about it, it's only you that will be affected. The person asking doesn't care whether you're angry or not. So look at keeping your own sanity. Look at, you know, having that mindset that what will happen if I continue. Look at the repercussions and use that to tailor your own actions. It's basically you taking the decisions. It's basically your mindset taking that decision for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Awesome. So I'm going to wrap it up like this. If someone asks you a question, ask you for something, ask you for a favor, whatever it is, maybe you want to do that 3 minute or 3 second rule where you kind of wait, check it out. So don't be quick to say yes. Don't even be quick to say no either. Check your heart, find out, okay, this thing, how does it, and I think I like that, what's the worst case scenario, what's the worst thing that can happen when if I do this or don't do this. And then once you get that, you can now make what I call an informed decision. And sometimes if we do that and don't commit ourselves before we understand what it entails, it saves us a lot of headache, a lot of trouble, a lot of shall I call it mortgage of your future. I like this. The said that when it comes to setting boundaries, know what you will not tolerate, set out your priorities, think about the impact on you, and then that becomes your parameter to measure. So some of us, I know that we're very mushy people, so someone will ask you, by the time you finish the story, you're like, oh, okay, let me see what I can do. Before you say anything, before you respond to what you can do or cannot do, say, you know what, can I get back to you on that? Can I talk with you later on that? Can I reach out to you later on that? So that you give yourself time to process and see if it's something you can accommodate or work with. And if it's not, just be, and then you will now be able to, like, be able to arrange your thoughts and your action and your words to say, that's a laudable project. Unfortunately, it's not it. I can't be part of it now because of something that I'm doing. You don't have to go into details. Something I'm handling now wouldn't allow me to do that. Then you will hear them now say, anything. I say, yes, sir, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the same thing with you. I'm saying there's nothing that can actually come from my end now because of what I'm doing. I say you just can't do even this. Honestly, I would have loved to. I would have really loved to. I would have really loved to. I mean, you know how dear you are to me, but it's just that it's a good ask, but it's a wrong timing. And that's it. I've told someone that, and then the person just sent me his account number. So I sent him my account number too. I said, because I told you I did not I'm trying to work something. So maybe you have been, I don't know what is leading you right now. So where we're sitting. So you do that, you step out of it, and you don't have to feel guilty or apologize or feel, whether you like it or not, it's your life, it's your thing, it's your time, it's you that is giving it. So be discreet with the way you share, you give, so that you can have more and have it for the people that you were actually meant to give when they come. I know that we would get other questions. We could, it's something that we can't really exhaust, I've noticed. But guess what? We'll circle around to this next week. We'll always have something that is real to talk about on Real Conversations. So I want us to have a lovely evening, have a lovely afternoon for those of us who are in North America. And we would look on Sunday. We're still talking about health. And this Sunday is the last Sunday of the month. So we're looking to see how we can pull this together. I would likely do a brief, I did a brief training last Sunday. I'll do a brief training again this Sunday on self-care, what to look for, how to begin self-care, because it's part of, knowing how to say no is part of self-care. Making sure that you are sound mental is part of self-care. And we'll look at that in detail on Sunday. So I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for checking in. And I'm glad that you're okay. If you need help, I know you have my number. Just reach out to me, and then I'll see how I can direct help towards you. Until then, have a wonderful evening, a wonderful afternoon for those of you in North America, and I'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.